against Iowa and against BYU as well. So she's pitched 5 innings 1 time this series. That one goes in for strike 3 or ball 4. Looked like Abby Hume was celebrating for a strikeout, but it'll be a walk instead for Conklin, as now Jackrabbits have 1 on base, as now Kendall Daniel is up to bat.
Yeah, Abby Hume, more walks than she has strikeouts this season. That would be walk number... She came into this game with 14 walks and 10 strikeouts. Most are going to want to leverage that the other way, kind of leading a little bit more in strikeouts than walks.
Yeah, Kendall Daniel up to plate for South Dakota State. Freshman out of Sweetwater, Texas. Did not appear in game 1.
This is actually Kendall's 5th at-bat of the season, just coming to this game with just 4.
As that ball goes right into center field, Hume goes by Hume and Trice, and we'll get a solo single here. And now we got 2 on base for the Jackrabbits.
Yeah, that's just the 3rd hit for Kendall Daniel all season. Her 5th at-bat, batting over 500 in her limited plate appearances.
The 4 at-bats, and now the 5th one is paid off, as now it's Mia Jurecki, that is up to bat for the Jackrabbits. 1 for 1 of today.
Yeah, Jurecki with a double in the 1st inning, a double and a single in game 1 earlier today. She's having a hot day.
That one is a hot day. Keeps continuing. That one goes by Bartholomew. Runs coming in for South Dakota State. It's now 3-2 Iowa State.
Yeah, quick meeting at the mound here for Abby Hume, letting in another run in just the 2nd inning as this game gets closer.
That ball was hit right into the left field area where Jurecki saw the pitch she liked and delivered and got the RBI single. Still 2 runs on for the Jackrabbits, but Abby Hume just trying to settle in there and not give up this lead for Iowa State.
Yeah, the freshman meeting at the mound, Abby Hume, Carly Ford having a chat, letting Abby Hume get settled in, take that time again. Jurecki having a heck of a day at the plate with a single and a double in each game so far today.
Emma Veek now up to the plate, and that ball is going to go by Ford, and runners are going to advance. Now into scoring position on 2nd and 3rd.
We've seen this situation a lot today in game 1. Runners on 2nd and 3rd and 2 down. It all comes down to what do you do with it. Iowa State left a lot of runners on base in that first game. They got the win ultimately, but leaving those runners on base is never good.
Yeah, you mentioned the left on base. Iowa State had 7 left on base compared to South Dakota State 4. Abby Hume now delivering the 2-0 pitch. Called in there for a strike.
Yeah, the goal for Abby Hume today is likely last more than 3 innings. She wants that confirmation that she can, pitch full games. She can last more than just those fraction of innings she's seen lately.
That ball grounded by Bartholomew and throws into Malaf for first. So Iowa number 2, and you mentioned Baker with the 5 walks. How do you handle calming down and trying to stay at the batter and not try to reflect off those walks?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, a lot of it is trusting your defense, knowing that you can put the ball in that zone where they can put it in play. It's not just a strikeout, walk, or nothing. You can put that in play and allow your teammates behind you to get that out.
It's McKay Andrews. That one goes high, but way into the Iowa State bullpen. Luckily, there's no second pitcher warming up, otherwise that would have probably hit him.
Yeah, Taylor Baker needs to find her strike zone and just allow that ball to be put in play and have faith that her teammates will make that out.
Pitch coming on along its way, and called strike 3 for Baker.
Yeah, we've seen that pitch a couple times today in game 1. Umpire has been very consistent calling that on that inside wall there on the plate.
Michael Hers is the umpire at home plate, Joe Havenhill at first base, and Scott Wagner at third base. Same umpire has been a different rotation for game one as now Serenity Trice comes up to plate where she was walked the first time, as Abby's mentioned. And you can see the infield alignment just sneaking in there, all scrunched in.
Yeah, Serenity Trice either going to try and drop it just in front of that plate like she just did.
And with her speed, I mean, no one makes a play on those type of bunts. It's just right in front of the plate. You would think that the catcher could make it, but just to get up and then not try and hit Trice for an interference. And Trice is a very fast softball player to get into first base.
Exactly, yeah. Trice just does what she does. She puts that ball in play, and with her speed, many teams don't even want to take the risk with the overthrow or the errors at first base, so they just hold on to it.
Jesse Clemens, that's up to bat. That one goes to right field area. That is caught. Trice trying to go to second and slides head first and safe.
You do not very often see a runner tag from first to second on a ball to right field, but that's just a testament to the speed Serenity Trice has and the faith that she has in herself as well. Not to mention just a beautiful head first dive into second, getting that, beating that tag.
Lots of momentum heading into that slide. She almost slewed off that second base. Now in comes Tatum Johnson, the left-handed batter, and we say, Abby, does left and right matter in softball? Because for Pinkerton, we've at one point in the season he had 4 lefties in a row, then go to righties, and now we're seeing a lot more back left-right action. How does that differ for a pitcher?
Well, what you'll see with the Iowa State lineup is their ability to hit it around the field. You know, with Serenity Trice, we've seen her hit it to left, center, right. We've seen her keep it in the infield and the outfield. So a lot of these players, regardless of where they're batting, they're going to be able to place it where they find those gaps.
Absolutely. And Johnson, as we mentioned in game one, she was a utility player, both pitcher and position player, but this season makes the transition to just full-time position player and batter. But that's really paid off for her, and her numbers have soared to an all-time high.
Yeah, Tatum Johnson has not been a bad key player to have at that third spot in the lineup. She had a relatively quiet game, 2 walks in the first game, a hit by pitch, and a single in the third inning. So no outs for Tatum Johnson, but only one called at bat.
That ball gets almost away from Daniel. It tries, almost thought about heading to third, but retreats back to second. Now it's a full count on Tatum Johnson with 2 outs.
Yeah, so much for a player with speed like Serenity Trice is going to be commitment. If she gets off that base, she's going to want to commit to running to that next base without hesitating.
And that ball goes a little outside for Johnson, so she'll be walked again. That's her second time being walked for game 2, and I believe she was walked twice in game 1. So already 4 walks that Tatum Johnson has collected today.
Yeah, that's going to be the 6th walk here for the South Dakota State pitcher, Taylor Baker. She is definitely coming off throwing a lot more strikes than she did in that first inning, but she's still struggling here.
She'll face Sydney Malott, who also was walked in her first at-bat in the first inning. And that ball was crushed to right, but the net will secure it for a foul. And we talked about the safety nets and the extension of the spectator and the fan safety, and it's really nice to see the nets playing a big factor in the safety of the fans.
Yeah, one thing to remember when thinking about Baker and her walks are normal in this game. It's not something you should be shocked when you see. So sure, 5 walks in a row, that is hard to watch, and that's got to be hard for Baker to deal with. But throughout the rest of the game, if she's walking people interspersively, that does not mean that she's resorting back to that first inning.
Malott stays alive and goes foul behind the plate for a 1-2 count. Baker just trying to settle in on Malott with Serenity Trice on second, Tatum Johnson on first. But Malott has a lot of power with the 10 home runs on the year, including 4 in the series against the Cowgirls of Oklahoma State. It's that she stays alive again for another foul ball.
Malott, a quiet game as well in that first game of this doubleheader. She had a single in the third too, but she had 2 strikeouts and a flyout the rest of that game. So she's looking to be that power hitter that the Cyclones have seen her be.
That ball crushed behind us, and that goes right near our backyard.
Felt that ball landing under our feet as that one is sent backwards.
And already 52 pitches in 2 innings by Baker. Not something you want to see. Malott crushes that one into center field, and game number 2.
You know, I'm surprised that allowing Abby Hune to have, those 2 innings where she struggled a bit, but we saw her improvement from that first inning to that second inning. And I think I'm more surprised to see Jaden Ralston come in than I am to see Abby Hune leave. We saw Ralston start in game 1, and the Cyclones have a game tomorrow, against University of Northern Iowa. So they're taking, Jaden Ralston, Skirman, their 2 best pitchers, and they're having them see a lot of action today.
And you would think for a game like today, with all due respect for South Dakota State, because, coming into this game, South Dakota State did have good momentum coming into this game, but you think you see pitchers like Sammy Potvin and more of Abby Hune to relax the arms of Skirman and Ralston, who had a pretty big weekend with Kansas, and knowing that you have UNI tomorrow, and you also have Utah this upcoming weekend to rest the arms of Ralston and Skirman, that you would see more opportunities for Rodriguez, Potvin, and Hune.
Absolutely, yeah. Potvin and Rodriguez have not seen the circle too many times this season. Rather, Pinkerman is relying on Skirman and Ralston quite a bit.
That ball his left to Allen, over the wall and gone for the Jackrabbits to tie the game. Brooke Dumont records her 8th homer of the year and ties it up at 3 in the third.
Yeah, obviously not what you want to do when you come into that game, but just lucky that those bases had no base runners on them. It's leading off the top of the third, but no base runners allows for that solo home run to get out of the way. The game is tied. Iowa State's still in it, but Jaden Ralston's going to need to bounce back from that.
So Ralston comes in and puts one already on the board for the Jackrabbits with that homer, as that ball will go outside for ball 1. And just like that, we're already tied at a ball game. South Dakota State recording now a run in 3 consecutive innings. And Iowa State defensively, they got to make some adjustments.
Yeah, Brooke Dumont in that first game, a flyout and then 2 pop-outs. So she's been putting that ball in play, but she has not been getting it in a place where she can do something with it. So putting it over that fence here, not giving the Cyclones a chance to put her away, is exactly what she's been looking for.
Ralston now with a 2-1 count on Gentry. Abby Gentry, 1 of 3 in game 1. That ball crushed now to left for Allen. That one's going to stay in the wall, and Allen makes the nice play over at left.
Yeah, Angelina Allen just so calm and collected. She knows that outfield like the back of her hands, playing here for 4 years now. When that ball comes to her, she knows what to do. She reads it calm, and she just makes the play.
The only returner in the outfield for Iowa State, say Clemens, the freshman at right, and Tatum Johnson, we mentioned, was not fully committed in the outfield last season, as that ball goes in for a strike on Boyle. Boyle, mentioned 1 of 3, had recorded a run in game 1, and so far today recorded a walk in her first at bat in the first inning, so already going through the lineup insanely fast.
Yeah, Allie Boyle, the double play earlier this game, and then just not been doing enough. She had a single in the second inning of that last game, but then another double play in that first game and a fly out.
Picked up by Andrews and throw to Malott for the out. Because that will be out number 2 here at the top of the third.
Yeah, we've seen Allie Boyle struggle today with just getting that ball off the ground and leaving the infield. She's had 2 double plays, not an opportunity for one there with the bases empty, but I imagine that could have been a real possibility had there been a runner on first.
Now in comes the powerful hitter, Kayla Bernard, who grounded into a double play in her first at bat, and then, or excuse me, I'm sorry, she lined up to center field in the second. Read the scorecard a little wrong there. That ball goes in just low for Ralston. Ralston thought she had a strike there. And 2-0 count now on Bernard.
Yeah, Bernard, again, we talked about both a pitcher and a fielder and an excellent batter as we've seen here today. We have not seen her in the circle, but we've seen her holding steady in center field, and we saw that 2-run home run. We saw that stand-up triple. She's had an excellent day so far here in Ames.
Hoping to keep that momentum going here at this at-bat and more. Looking bunt and pulls out away for ball number 4. She will get on base.
Yeah, with 2 outs here, Jaden Ralston just doesn't want to keep adding base runners, adding that possibility for RBIs and for the Jackrabbits to take a lead here over the Cyclones. So Ralston's just going to be looking for that 3rd out as easily and as quickly as she can.
Emma Christensen up to bat for the Jackrabbits. She had a pretty decent game 1 and not much at her first few at-bats, but then her last at-bat ended up in a run, which cut the lead down to 2, which then would have been the final score of 5-3 for Iowa State.
Yeah, as we enter the 7, 8, 9 batters here in the Jackrabbits lineup, we haven't seen much from them here today. Again, as Anthony said, we had that 1 single from Emma Christensen in the 7th inning of that last game. Aside from that, we've had 1 walk and then some flyouts.
That ball goes into Bartholomew, and she's going to make the players.
Looking at your third base coach and just listening. Jamie Pinkerton waving Angelina Allen at 3. Definitely looked like it could have been a close play. Angelina saw that coach and just booked it to 3rd for an easy triple.
And good job by Allen to continue running. Most players, they see the ball almost at the fence and just jog their way thinking they have a homer. But good job by Allen to keep running hard and getting a triple, because some players will settle for a single if they just jog thinking they have a homer.
Reagan Bartholomew with a sacrifice fly in the 1st inning, the potential to do it here again with that runner on 3rd.
And that ball hits into the left center field area. That ball is caught, and Allen's going to come in, and a run will score. So Bartholomew gets another sac fly RBI to take a Cyclone lead 4-3.
Yeah, just being able, when you have those runners in scoring position, being able to put that ball in play is such a huge piece. You know, that 1 out is so worth it for that 1 run that comes in. So when you see that runner on 3rd, just being able to put the ball in play and get it out of the infield is exactly what you want to do.
In comes Carly Ford up to bat, and her last at bat was interesting. She had a line shot to right field area. It was caught, brought in Sydney Malott, which at the time was called safe, but after a review and a conversation with Coach McSweeney of San Diego State, it was overturned and the run did not count. So if the call would stay the same, we'd be looking at a 3-5 game, but instead we're looking at a 3-4 as Ford shakes that one off for a 2-1 count.
Yeah, just the ability here. Again, I was talking about sacrifice flies. Carly Ford did what she had to do for the sacrifice fly. The run did not count, but just when you have that runner on 3rd, putting it in the outfield.
That ball grounded to 3rd, and easy play for the Jackrabbits defense by Brooke Dumont to Maddie Conklin, and the connection that you see from 3rd to 1st. We've seen a lot of 3rd to 1st groundouts and not a lot of shortstop or second, but I mean, as a 3rd baseman, you have to be confident in order to make that throw.
Yeah, as a 3rd baseman, you know, you hear if you can get the ball, that's your play to make, you know. If that ball is within your range, you're going to go for it and you're going to try and make that play.
Ashley Miner 0 for 1 today now into the box, and playing that DP spot at the number 8 position. Isabel Nosen had the nod in the DP for game 1, and Miner came in to pinch hit for Serenity Trice. Got an RBI, and Coach Pinkerton says you're going to be the DP for game 2. 1-1 on its way, and low and outside for ball number 2.
Yeah, Ashley Miner, low stats this season, but that's just based on her low number of plate appearances. You know, we see her in a lot of games, but we just don't see her starting.
So that ball goes foul and out of play and out of the stadium.
Miner, 8 hits on the season, just 1 run scored. So she's just looking right now to get on base with 2 outs, just letting someone else, you know, help her out, get her across that plate.
And thought about it, but will hold back her swing, but be a full count on Ashley Miner with 2 outs. Miner had 27 at-bats coming into the game. That ball is crushed into the center field, going back, and will is playable at the warning track by Bernard. So the Cyclone, Daniel, who's playing catcher today in game 2.
Maddie Conklin having a quiet day, a walk in the 2nd inning of this game, and then earlier in that first game, she had a walk, a flyout, and a strikeout. So she's still looking for that first hit.
And Conklin, batting 208 right now, and at the 103rd at bat of her season right now, as that ball will go right in for a strike for Ralston.
Yeah, Conklin entering today with 99 at-bats on the season, just 21 hits. So she's still looking to just, you know, manage to get that ball in play consistently rather than, you know, she's making contact, she's putting it in the field. She just hasn't been able to find those gaps that she needs.
Ralston stands in the circle for a 3-1 count. That ball is cracked into left field. Allen is rolled and make the play. What a catch by Angelina Allen.
Yeah, we saw in that first inning, Angelina Allen had a ball similarly placed to that one. She did not opt for the catch. She went to scoop it, and it went behind her. But this one she chooses to lay out for. She rolls and comes up with the ball, just showing how confident she can be with her ability to make the play.
Yeah, showing a lot of effort here. At this play might be, it's going to go under review just to make sure that she had control of the catch, kind of like in your collegiate football games. You want to make sure you have control of the catch, that the ball does not leave her glove or does not touch the ground, and you want to make sure that she has that secured catch to make sure that the runner is out.
Yeah, we do not have replay, as we've mentioned here in the booth. Just the way that Angelina Allen rolled with the ball, it's hard to know what happened with it when she's upside down on that grass.
So the first review came unsuccessful for Iowa State, and this will be the second review already in this game. And again, as Abby mentioned, we do not have a replay for you today, but South Dakota State, we mentioned they're 9-3 in the Summit, looking for a good seeding in the Summit League tournament. And Abby, as you head into where you don't want to look ahead, you don't want to look into your conference tournament, how do you handle your next series for either Iowa State against Utah or for South Dakota State, against Omaha?
Right, well, for South Dakota State, they're in 3rd place in the division. You know, they're so close behind St. Thomas from St. Paul, Minnesota. And facing Omaha next, who's currently leading that division, they don't necessarily want to look ahead to that conference playoffs. They just want to look ahead to Omaha, right? The way that they want to handle today is they don't necessarily need the win, need the record. They need the momentum. They're heading into 3 games against Omaha, who's currently leading their division, and they want that momentum of being able to go in and say, yeah, you know, we can beat them, we can put up these runs to maybe move up in that division.
We mentioned Iowa State 11-7 in the Big 12, having a record year in the Big 12 Conference, with the first time in program history having double-digit conference wins in the Big 12. When they were members of the Big 8, they won 8 conference wins, so shattering that record by 3 wins. And you look at the record season that they're having is what everybody keeps labeling it as. And for such a young group, you got to think that Iowa State's going to have a lot of hopeful success coming in the next few years.
Yeah, absolutely. Losing Angelina Allen in that left field spot is going to be a hard switch up for this offense and defense. Not necessarily just as a player, but as a teammate. You know, she's got that dugout mentality.
And after further review, the ruling is out. So, as you mentioned, Angelina Allen's got a large role, or a large void to fill for whoever's going to take her spot next year.
Absolutely. Catches like that we just saw in left field, rolling, diving, and coming up with that play to make the out is just one way that Angelina Allen contributes to this team in such a massive way.
So Kendall Daniel is now in the box for the Jackrabbits, as she'll see a strike 1. But going back to how this record season is for Iowa State within the Big 12 and how young they are, like, how do you keep looking forward to the success, for the next few seasons to come?
Yeah, you're just going to want to build your players. You know, first of all, you want to keep them on your roster. You don't want to lose any to transfer portal or anything like that. But while they're on your team, you know, you want to get them those reps. You want to get them that ability to just build in their confidence and their skills. And by the time they're seniors, you know, they've matured. And the way that they can work together is just well enough to, you know, take the Big 12 and beyond.
Yeah, Iowa State taking series from Arizona State and Kansas just recently, Oklahoma State. And that called strike 3 for Jaden Ralston.
Kendall Daniel, again, not very many at-bats this season. She had the single in the second, but there's a swinging strike right there, looking for another hit, but just can't quite reach the ball.
And that is the first strikeout of the day for Iowa State, both either with Hune or Ralston in the circle. Now with 2 outs and facing the top of the lineup is Mia Jurecki, sorry.
Yeah, Jurecki, we mentioned before, having a heck of a day. She had a double and a single in game 1, a double and a single again today.
And that looks like it's going to be a single because it tries to not play that well and went over Ralston's head, and Trice could not field it. And now Jurecki gets on base.
That is a classic blooper, so high and just falling right in the gap where no one is. You know, a lot of times you wonder, is Jaden Ralston, you know, wanting to step out of the circle and try and make that play, or is she trying to protect herself, allowing the defense behind her to take it? And she opted to let Serenity Trice take it, and it just bounces off her glove.
And kind of in that, you know, non-playable area, you know, like what you're saying, is Ralston going to step out and Trice just kind of make the play. And now Emma Veek is up to the box right now, and Jurecki kind of a threat at the first base spot. 7 stolen bases off 7 attempts right now, and has not been picked off this season. That ball goes foul and off the net.
That ball makes me flinch from back here. Can't imagine the people sitting
I
right
say
in
we're in a
front of
press
it.
box. It don't matter if it comes to us or not. We got the glass protecting us.
Yeah, Emma Veek grounding out twice already this game can be dangerous in a situation with a runner on base, trying to avoid that double play if the ball is not leaving the infield ground.
That ball grounded by Andrews, throwing to first, and stretched by Malott. So the Jackrabbit area.
Yeah, I think that one landed in the parking lot here behind us. Absolutely nowhere near the playing field, so hoping she can straighten that one out because that had a lot of power behind it.
That ball goes high and off the hands, off a fan. He was unable to make the play there. But hey, he got himself a little souvenir.
Yeah, that ball high enough to sky over that net and just land right on the other side of it. That ball straight up. The danger of that is doing that and keeping it in play, because then that's just an easy pop-up for the defenders to get and end your at-bat.
So 2 foul balls, and McKenna Andrews find herself in an 0-2 count. That ball out again, but the pitch didn't look like one that you would want to take there for a batter. It looked like she had it stretched out for a little bit.
Yeah, McKenna Andrews reaching for some of these pitches, unsure if she just wants the hit or if she's seeing them closer than they are, but she's reaching for these.
The 0-2 coming. That ball high and inside, but did not touch her. It'll be a ball 1 right there. Andrews, the junior out of Flower Mound, Texas.
Yeah, she had, a mediocre game 1. She had a ground out, then a single, then a walk. So just not a lot of opportunities for her to put that ball in play with just 3 at-bats and a walk. But she did bat .500 there with those 2 at-bats.
Hoping to keep that going in game 2, but doesn't help when you struck out looking the first time, and now she's hoping for a different result, but faces the same with a 2-2 count. That ball right to her coach, and he gets out of the way for another foul ball. Same with these foul balls, Abby, it builds the pitcher's count. As now Baker's at 71 pitches. How do you handle those foul balls as a pitcher?
Absolutely. As a batter, you want the fouls. You can keep going as a batter, because once your at-bat's over, you get a break. But as the pitcher, you pitch so many times to one batter. Once that at-bat's over, you have another one. So you just want to be able to win the battle. However that is for you, if it means letting them get the ball in play or finding that pitch that they won't go for.
And indeed, Baker finds it in play and goes right to the left field area for Emma Christensen to make the play.
Yeah, just for an outfielder to be able to read it, especially with the sun. It's very bright today, pretty high in the sky, high enough that we can't see it here in the press box. But being able to read that ball when it goes so high and just get under it nice and settled and make that catch.
So Serenity Trice now in the box, and you can see on your screen of how the infielders are playing pretty tight. That ball goes high into right and foul off. But you can see now a different side of Trice, where we've seen her mostly bunt half the time and goes low inside the plate. But you can see that she can hit it deep if she wants to.
Yeah, Serenity Trice most likely going to be looking to just place it on that grass line with the second baseman playing so far in. She just wants to plop it over her head.
And instead goes right to the third baseman, and easy play there for Dumont to get the second out of the inning.
Yeah, not exactly what you want to do as a slap hitter there. A lot of times you're going to slap based on where those defensive players are playing, so you're going to have to be able to read it and place it accordingly.
Now in comes Clemens, who the Bettendorf native, but went to Pleasant Valley High School.
We're seeing a big day from Jessie Clemens. Only a walk and a flyout here in game number 2. But again, she had a triple in the 4th inning of game 1, and then a 2-run home run in the 6th, breaking it open for the Cyclones, allowing that much-needed momentum.
Ball goes high and away for a ball 2, and yeah, we talk about the Clemens and Trice duo a lot, and there's big reason for a lot of their headlines, because they are able to do both work on the field and in the box.
Absolutely, yeah.
That ball goes sailing right to the first baseman, and Conklin makes the jump and makes the grab. So it's home run at her last at-bat and kept it alive for South Dakota State.
Yeah, we've seen so much improvement from Dumont from game 1 to game 2. Game 1, she had some flyouts, she had some pop-outs. Game 2, only 2 at-bats, a single and a home run. Exactly what you want to see in a doubleheader game change.
Yeah, still Jaden Ralston in the circle for Iowa State, and we'll see how long, if she's going to go the whole game or Coach Pinkerton's going to pull in somebody else. Zach goes in for a strike 2.
Yeah, you don't want to have to use 3 pitchers in one game, especially when you have a game with such a quick turnaround tomorrow in Cedar Rapids. So you want to make Jaden Ralston last as long as she can here today.
As Bartholomew will get a guarantee or a routine ground ball and thrown into first for easy out number 1. So Ralston now with 1 out here in the top of the 5th will face Abby Gentry, who has played a solid series doubleheader here against Iowa State. She had the 1-3 in game 1 with that RBI that she had in game 1.
Yeah, Abby Gentry, such a reliable player for the Jackrabbits, coming into today with a .426 batting average, which is just so high, especially for college softball at a high level. So just being such a reliable player at the plate. Having a slower game today, she had a strikeout, a lineout, and a single in game 1, and then a walk and a lineout again in game 2. She also had a slower series against North Dakota.
Is that she'll get in for a hit right to Allen, and she gets on base right there. So the series still continues for her, and Jackrabbits now hoping to answer.
Yeah, as I was saying with Jaden Ralston, you want to make her last as long as possible, so you're not running through that whole pitching rotation in just one game with such a quick turnaround of games the next day. So Abby Hune and Jaden Ralston we've seen in this game. We saw Lauren Skirman in game 1. That leaves just 2 pitchers, Sammy Potvin and Aziza Rodriguez, for the Cyclones that haven't pitched today, and they haven't seen much time at all this season.
It looks like some activity in the Iowa State bullpen as that goes for a strike for Ralston, and it is Skirman in the bullpen for Iowa State. So you just wonder, how is the arms doing? Because, Abby, I don't know if you've ever played this much intensity softball in high school with the demanding schedule of it, but as a player, because you weren't a pitcher in high school, but as a player itself, how do you maintain your body to stay healthy and keep ready to keep playing softballs for the intensity of the schedule for the Cyclones that they have?
You know, I will say I was not good at that. I have severe shoulder problems now.
That ball goes flying right into center for Tatum Johnson, but you were saying?
But yeah, as a pitcher, it's much less intense in softball than you see in baseball. That underhand motion is gentler on the shoulder, but it can still be a lot pitching as much as we've seen Ralston and Skirman pitch this season. So they're going to have to be doing lots of care on those shoulders between innings when they're not pitching, when they're filling in for each other. So it's just going to be a back and forth we've seen between Ralston and Skirman.
Yeah, I feel like for baseball, it's more of the elbow. How's the elbow managed to do it? For softball, it's the shoulder. As Kayla Bernard is now in the box for the Jackrabbits with a runner on first, hoping to respond and cut the Iowa State's lead and possibly take the lead. But right now she's facing Jaden Ralston, and she's got a 2-0 count as Carly Ford now getting ready to talk to Ralston.
Absolutely. 2 outs, 1 runner on. You're leading by 1. You just want to be quick with it. You don't want to draw anything out. Allowing them to load the bases, even if they don't score with it, is just allowing that pitch count to grow in ways that you just can't afford, especially with the way we've seen Iowa State using their pitchers here today. So with this scenario, you want to get it over as quickly as you can, whether that's putting it in play and getting the out, or just starting to throw some strikes here.
And right there's the strike that you were saying for the 2-1 count on Bernard, who had that 2-run shot in game 1 to mention earlier, and hoping to create that same success in this series. As right now she in this game, is lined out to center and then walked, as that's a big swing for strike 2 on Bernard.
Yeah, exactly. Earlier this inning, we talked about Brooke Dumont, her transition from that quieter first game to such an impressive second game with a single and the home run. With Kayla Bernard, we're seeing the flip of that. She had the triple and the home run in game 1, a much quieter second game with a line out, a walk, now a full count here, so whether or not she'll do something with it.
Ralston with a 3-2 count with 2 outs at the top of the 5th with a 1-point lead with a runner on first. Ralston delivers as fouled as it goes right to the net.
Yeah, again, we talked about what it means to battle back for both a batter and a pitcher. And I mentioned you want to get this over with. So those fouls are exactly what Bernard's going to be trying to do. She's going to foul off every single pitch, protecting that plate until she finds one that she likes enough to hit it fair.
As that one goes low, and that one's sailing away, and Allen makes the play, hits the wall. But the Cyclones have a 1-point lead over the South Dakota State Jackrabbits in this doubleheader on a Monday day that was rescheduled from April Fool's Day, and we weren't fooling around when the postponing came around, that we were notified that'll be rescheduled, as Tatum Johnson is in the box now for Iowa State with a 0-2 count.
Yeah, speaking of not fooling around, Taylor Baker started off this game with 5 consecutive walks struggling. She remained in the game, and she has bounced back so strong. She's allowed 0 runs in the 4th and 5th inning. She allowed 0 runs in the 2nd and 4th inning, just 1 in the 3rd, looking to make it 0 for this inning as well.
She's really bounced back after walking her first 5 straight batters, and that's where Iowa State helped with scoring 3 runs, and Iowa State, as that ball was crushed to the right field area, drops in play for Tatum Johnson, and now gets her first hit of the game. She was walked both times and records a single.
Yeah, Tatum Johnson, her 2nd single of the day. Again, I mentioned earlier in that first game, only 1 true at-bat. She had 2 walks, a hit by pitch, and 1 single. And then again in the 2nd game, another 2 walks. So that's just not a lot of opportunities for Tatum Johnson to get the ball in play, but when she has, it's been singles.
And Malott, that goes into center field, and that's going to advance Johnson to second as Sydney Malott keeps continuing her batting success this season and records a single to get 2 on. But we were going to mention the hitting with Iowa State before those 2 hits. Only had 2 hits the entire game, but then yet recorded the 4 runs. Compared to South Dakota State, they have 7 hits, but 3 runs and 6 left on base. So both teams are getting on base and having scoring opportunities. Just both teams out. It's just a close contest right now.
Absolutely, Anthony. Yeah, that first inning, those walks were just a major setback for the Jackrabbits that they're still working to overcome. You know, had 2 runs allowed just from those walks and then a sacrifice fly as well, allowing just 3 runs off of no hits. So just having to bounce back from that. Iowa State here now getting some hits and building on that momentum. It's going to be a tough hole for the Jackrabbits.
And if you ever seen the movie Money Pit, don't matter if you get walked or get hit, as long as you get on base, you have opportunities to run and win games. And Angelina Allen now up to the box, 1 for 1 today for the senior out of California.
Yeah, and you know, as she steps into the box, I want to say that's a tough player to have up right now. But the thing with the Iowa State lineup is there are so many spots in that lineup where you just don't want to have players on base, because so many places in that lineup can get hits, can get on base, can move those base runners around.
Allen, that ball will be grounded into second base. Couldn't make the double play, but she'll take the out. At first is Jarecki, and Jarecki tossed to Conklin for out number 1 for Angelina Allen, which brings up Reagan Bartholomew, the Waukee native who had led Waukee Northwest to a state championship game in 2022. Made her announcement she was going to Miami, Ohio, but then transferred to come to Ames this season. That ball goes right past the third baseman, and it looks like Johnson's going to score, and Pinkerton's going to hold off Malott. So Iowa State strikes again. It is now 5-3 Cyclones.
Yeah, that was just a hard play for the Jackrabbits third baseman to make in Brooke Dumont. You want to be able to get your glove there in time, but third base is so close, especially with those righty batters. That reaction time is so small that it's just so hard to get your glove there in time. So Iowa State doing exactly what they need to do in just putting that ball in play with those runners and letting them do what they need to do.
Yeah, third base is one of the toughest positions to play in softball, either with fielding it, with throwing it, reacting to such close hits. And it looks like Tiana Poole is going to get some running action up at first base. Tiana Poole was a starter on last year's team, but with slumping at bats, now at runner, and that ball drops into center field, and a run's going to come in. That's Sydney Malott that's going to score. So an RBI single right there for Carly Ford.
Yeah, you love those kind of bloopers. They may not feel super good coming off the bat. They may not look super pretty, but the ability to just get that ball in the gap and get it in for a hit is exactly what you want to do as a batter.
So it might be it for today for Taylor Baker, maybe. The coach McSweeney comes in and has a conversation with her starting pitcher and catcher right now, and just talking strategy, saying, hey, we got the one out. Do we need to set up double play? What's the infield adjustment right here? But it looks like Baker's going to stay in.
McSweeney being extremely graceful with her batter. 5 straight walks to start off this game. Several hits here in this inning now. She has extreme trust in Taylor Baker and leaving her in that circle.
Ashley Miner up in the box for Iowa State. 0 for 2 today. The designated player for today out of Rockwall, Texas.
Again, Miner, that one change Iowa State made to their lineup, swapping her in as the DP.
That one looks for an outside for a 1-1 count. So, I mean, if you're South Dakota State, you have one out in this situation. You've allowed 2 to run. The lead is now extended. What defensively are your adjustments?
You know, ideally, you're going to want to focus on the lead runner, right? With just one out, it's hard to allow them to move. You don't want to allow them to move into scoring position. With 2 outs, you just get the out, right? It doesn't matter where. You just get the out, inning's over, and it's okay. But with 0 to 1 outs, you want to focus on that lead runner and being able to prevent them from scoring.
That lead runner is Tiana Poole, as Ashley Miner will go down swinging on strikes. And a strikeout there by Baker. Now you have a 2-out situation. And McKenna Andrews is now up to bat for Iowa State. Andrews was striked out looking at her first at bat, and then the fly out to left field in the second. That ball is popped up in the air, but comes back into the bleacher area, where Kendall Daniel was not able to make a play on it.
Yeah, this is McKenna Andrews' 5th plate appearance today. She had 1 walk, then she had a ground out, a fly out, and a strikeout, along with 1 single earlier in game 1. So she's covering all aspects.
That ball is going to the shortstop and gets Carly Ford out at second. So Iowa State, they knocked 2 in, but South Dakota State, they're
sure. With the Cyclones lineup, who have really just 5 main pitchers they rotate through, and it's certainly not an even rotation. You'll see Lauren Skirman and Jaden Ralston taking the circle so often for this team, as you can see here today, with Skirman replacing Ralston for the 2nd time.
Emma Christensen, 0 for 2 today. Flew out, and then as that will be routine ground out right there for McKenna Andrews at third base to Cindy Malott at first for out number 1, and Emma Christensen still unable to get a hit today.
Yeah, you just love to see, that third base, it's a long throw, even with the shorter field. You love to see them just be able to get their feet set, make the throw nice and calm, and get it there in time.
Now in the box for the Jackrabbits, number 11, Maddie Conklin, a senior who's averaging 208 with 101 at-bats, 287 slugging percentage, and 281 on base. She's facing Lauren Skirman, as she did in game 1, as that will go for a ball, a 1-1 count on Conklin.
Yeah, Maddie Conklin, we've seen her up here a lot today, but we've seen her head back to that dugout an equal number of times. She's got 3 at-bats so far in each game, no hits recorded, just 1 walk in all of those at-bats. The rest are outs, so she is really looking to build any sort of momentum here at the plate.
Skirman, the sophomore from Newark, Delaware, making a transition from her parents that were ice skating figures and now playing softball on the dirt, as she will throw a strike 2. Father played professional hockey, and her mother was an Olympian actually in the 1988 Winter Olympics in ice dancing.
Certainly translates to the game of softball.
That ball goes outside. It'll be a full count on Conklin and 1 out. No runners on, but South Dakota State, they're trying to get the bats rolling here to maybe try to make a rally to cut the Iowa State deficit. Cyclones lead by 3 in the top of the first. Conklin over the head of Trice. That ball is going to be rolling to the center fielder. Tatum Johnson is going to make the play, and Conklin gets on base for a single.
Yeah, that's Conklin's first hit of the day today in her 7th at-bat. You see Serenity Trice, second baseman, not typically the tallest player on your roster, jumping about as high as she can in that starfish fashion, not close enough to make the catch, so it lands just over her head in shallow right field.
And the ball still had a foot or two clearance over her, even despite her best efforts. Which brings up Kendall Daniel now up for South Dakota State. She recorded a single in the 2nd inning, but then got striked out in the 4th. The ball inside, but it called for a strike.
Yeah, she's batting, again, we've talked about so few at-bats this season. She's still batting 500. You know, essentially every other time she stepped up to that plate, she's gotten a hit, she's gotten on base. Which is exactly what you want to see from the South Dakota State lineup right now. When you're down by 3, you know, this late into the game, you just want to get those runners on base and then have your next batter do something with it. It's just one batter after another.
Yeah, Daniel only came in with 5 games played and 4 at-bat appearances, and now she's on her 7th at-bat of the season. Still batting near that 500 range. She's 1 for 2 of days, and she was exactly at 500 coming into the game, and hoping to keep that margin alive as that one will go foul just early on the swing, and Skirman just trying to shake her off with a 1-2 count.
Yeah, we saw Olivia Bolin in the 9 spot in game 1. She went over 3, subbing in Kendall Daniel here in game number 2. Already 1 for 2. Much needed improvement here for the Cyclones, or excuse me, the Jackrabbits.
That ball goes right in between 2nd and 3rd, and Bartholomew unable to play, and the batting continues for the Jackrabbits as another solo for Daniel, and 2 on with 1 out.
Yeah, that ball just goes past McKenna Andrews at 3rd base. You notice she didn't even move her feet. She stuck out her arm, but that reaction time is so short that she had time to move the glove, but not the feet to try and get in front of that, and it just slipped right in between her and the shortstop for the hit.
So Skirman finding herself kind of in a jam with 2 on at 1st and 2nd with a 3-point lead, and now the potential tying run at the plate.
Again, this dangerous top of the lineup, Mia Jarecki, having an outstanding day. She's 3 for 3 today with a double, 2 singles, and then she went 2 for 4 in that first game with a double and a single as well. So with 2 runners on, just 1 out, you want to handle Mia Jarecki accordingly.
And Skirman going the inside as she found success in game 1, but with a different umpire, it's going to be a different call, as that would have probably been a strike in game 1, but it calls a ball right now for a 1-1 count. And that double is saying that McKenna Andrews goes to 2nd for out number 2, and tries unable to make a double play to Malat. So, and couldn't get the double done, but they'll settle with 1 out to make it 2 outs, and runners now at the corners.
Yeah, that was pretty close to best case scenario there for the Cyclones. You might have liked to see that play at 3rd base just to get rid of that runner, have runners not quite as in scoring position.
As that ball goes through Andrews, and the Jackrabbits will nibble again at the lead and cut 1 down. It's now 4-6 in favor of the Cyclones. But what a hit that was for Emma Veek, just going right through Andrews and then could not get that glove in play.
Yeah, that's kind of an example why you want to try and get that lead runner if at all possible, just allowing that run to come in on such a short hit to left field.
So Veek gets the single, gets her first hit in this game. Now Brooke Dumont is up, who had the homer in the 4th inning, which was a 2-run shot, and then the single first and the ground out in the 5th inning. But dangerous hitter right now to face against Lauren Skirman.
Yeah, knowing she can have that home run power that she had in this game, it's a totally different pitcher. We've seen 3 in this game, but just knowing that she can take that ball and send it is a scary situation that Lauren Skirman finds herself in with 2 runners on.
Ball going outside from Skirman, which will be a 2-1 count facing against Dumont. Pitch coming from Skirman. That ball hits in the right field area. Clemens unable to reach it in time. That ball will go foul. Brooke Dumont, the 5'8" senior from Papillion, Nebraska. Went to the same high school as her teammate, Mia Jarecki, also from Papillion, Nebraska. Went to La Vista High School in that area.
We've had so many balls be hit over in that right side foul grass area.
That ball goes on the left side. Allen just unable to make the play. Had to take in the wall for a factor. Had the chance of the play, but had to take in count for the wall.
Yeah, in plays like that, foul, here we saw left field, we saw third base and shortstop all chase after that. We've had so many on the right side where we see first, second, and right chase after that. But that 1-2 pitches ago, it was just Jessie Clemens chasing after it. Serenity Trice stayed in her second base bubble, not choosing to run after that one in a play she's made so many times before.
Skirman with a 2-2 count with 2 runners on, with 2 outs here in the top of the 6th, with the Cyclones leading by 2. The pitch from Skirman. That ball high above Trice, and Clemens unable to make the catch. 1 run will come in. Throw to second, each safe. Runner goes to home and safe as well. It's just like that. South Dakota State has cut in the lead and has now tied it here at 6.
Yeah, for the second time today, we've seen that ball just bounce in and out of Jessie Clemens' gloves as she lays out for it in right field. Both times she's been unable to bring it in. But that's a play where you see the base runner running in at second, and Jessie Clemens chose to make the play to second when that tying run was coming in at home. You wonder if you would have liked to see her try and make a cutoff to get that play at home, as she had started to jog rounding third, right? She had convinced herself she was in easy, and that was even a close play as she had jogged in. So I wonder if Jessie Clemens had tried to hit that cutoff, sending it home, if this would still be a 5-6 game.
Yeah, that was Emma Veek, who came in at home to tie up the game, and she was standing up. As you were mentioning, Abby, she kind of just jogged right in there because of the Clemens throw to second, but aggressive base running by the Jackrabbits, and now with that hit from Dumont, with that single extra base hit and got the 2 RBIs in, now cuts the cycle lead from 6-3 to now to 6-6 in the top of the 6th. And how is Skirman going to respond? And now Abby Gentry is up to play.
Yeah, Abby Gentry, a single in her last at-bat. She is a good hitter, as we've seen from her stats, we've seen from her season. She had a single in both games. She's not someone you want to see when you're the Cyclones are not trying to give up this tie game right now.
Batting average of .425 with a 1-2 on today. Again, not Abby Gentry playing as a designated player. That ball will go outside, but in the zone for strike number 2. So an 0-2 count with 2 outs on Gentry as we head into the 7th batter at this inning. That ball stretched out and hit her coach right in the head. McSweeney, like, making a play, was standing outside the dugout, and the ball just came in and hit her right in the head off the net.
Yeah, McSweeney holding her head, walking back into that dugout, but she appears to be leaving the field with their athletic trainer to get checked out. She's walking just fine, looks to be just all right, but she is going to get checked out.
Skerman going outside again on Gentry, and that was a little too outside for a ball. I wonder, though, if you're Skerman, if you want to change your pitching strategy a little bit. Right now she's throwing a little bit outside, get some inside pitches in and see. So that ball goes low, and Ford unable to handle it, as that would bring the runner from second to third. And Dumont now in scoring position, and possibly the game to taking the lead for the Jackrabbits.
Yeah, we've seen Dumont taking some large jumps off of second base with the pitch, and that one just came in handy. You know, Carly Ford just loses it.
Yeah, she just lost it and got advanced, but Trice was able to make the play. So the Jackrabbits tied up in the inning from San Diego State at the top of the 6th. And Serenity Trice is looking to, hoping to add the lead.
Yeah, the top of the lineup, Serenity Trice, doing, once again, her signature showing bunt, running out for the slap. Just trying to plop it either short in front of the pitcher or shallow outfield. And again, using her intense speed to just outrun that ball.
Yeah, so for the Jackrabbits here defensively, what can you do against Trice? I mean, you've done a good job at her with the first at bat. She walked and then had a single, then she ground out. You just got to continue with what you're doing, right? So that ball out at first. What a play there by Boyle, who moves from left field, or right field, excuse me, to first base. And looks like Jamie Pinkerton's walking across the diamond, and he might possibly want to take a look at this.
Yeah, first base coach told Serenity Trice, she said, stay on base. She said, you're staying here. And Serenity Trice is still staying on first base. Pinkerton talking to the umps.
And they are going to go to a review to see if Trice was on safe at first or out. The ruling is out at first, and it was a bang play. And again, we do not have a replay to show you, but the umpires do have a look at it.
Yeah, that first base coach so confident in what she saw, telling Serenity Trice to stay at first, and then Pinkerton immediately coming out and talking to the umps. Just a testament to the speed that Serenity Trice does have in a play that was fielded so cleanly, so quickly, and she still potentially beat it out, depending on if this call is overturned.
Yeah, first and third baseman, it was Boyle and Dumont, who crashed in right as Mengeles had the ball released from her hand, and Trice laid the bunt she normally does to try to get on base, but just a very good job at fielding that. And it looks like the umpires are coming back after review. And the call stands where she's still out.
So Serenity Trice gets the ball down just in front of home plate. She, does her job, drops that bat, sprints to first. Her job is to get on base. She's not looking for those extra bases. She's looking to be that person that gets on base, and that one was just fielded so cleanly that she wasn't able to outrun it.
As Clemens pops fly on the first pitch to the second baseman of Jarecki, and just like that, Iowa State now with 2 outs in this inning, and Tatum Johnson up to bat for the Cyclones. But this is the answer you want for the Jackrabbits, especially after having that top inning that they did at the bats. Johnson
ground out again in the third, and then lined out in the fifth, looking to get a little bit something going, like that single she had in the second inning of game 1.
Yeah, Boyles, you mentioned Abby 0 for 3 today, and trying to get something on the board as that will call for a strike. She went a little too far over the line for an 0-2 count.
Yeah, Boyle, the senior, another Iowa native from Earlham, Iowa, batting .281 coming into today. She's not someone that the Jackrabbits have seen consistently apt to bat for them, just filling in those roles like some other players on their roster. But she's just been someone that when she goes up to the plate, she knows what she wants to do.
Right now what she wants to do is get a hit off Lauren Skirman, and goes right to Skirman. Bartholomew takes it, throws, and out at first. What an adjustment there by Bartholomew. Looks like a hit off the leg off Skirman, but Bartholomew makes a good play at short to get out number 1.
Yeah, a beautiful adjustment there, and also a lucky hop. The way that it bounced off of Skirman and just came straight to where Bartholomew was standing. Very lucky, but also very well adjusted to change her momentum.
And that ball is straight to McKenna Andrews, was Akila Bernard, and just like that, again, we're 2 outs for South Dakota State.
Yeah, again, not moving her feet. This time she doesn't have to. It went straight into her glove. Not even moving her glove much. It's just right at her chest like she's playing catch with that batter.
Emma Christensen is the batter for South Dakota State, batting a .319, but she falls herself 0 for 3 in game 2 today.
Yeah, Anthony, you said 0 for 3 today. 1 for 3 in game 1 with that single in the 7th inning, looking to give the Jackrabbits some momentum. It didn't work out. She's looking to do the exact same thing here in the 7th inning in game 2.
Yeah, you mentioned that single. That's what helped cut the deficit for the Jackrabbits. That will call them for a strike 2. But right now, South Dakota State, they're looking to take a lead over the Cyclones and come out here with a win before they head to their series at home against Omaha. That ball will go foul to the right side. As we mentioned before, Iowa State will pack its bags and travel to Cedar Falls tomorrow to take on the Panthers of Northern Iowa. Another in Iowa battle. Iowa has took game 1 of the Cyhawk game. They will play later on this series, and next Wednesday Iowa State will play Drake. That ball go not by a home run, but with her sac fly. This is how they beat Kansas in game 2.
Absolutely, yeah. Again, like you mentioned, a sac fly would also end this game right here. All she needs to do is put that ball in play. If it leaves the infield, it's going to be very hard for the Jackrabbits to respond in a way that keeps this game going.
You can see the anticipation in the Jackrabbits defense. If you just take a look at their infielders, knowing, just getting ready for every ground ball any way they can. Outfielders playing as that will go for a ball 4. So bases are loaded, and Carly Ford up to the plate right now.
As a freshman in your college career, you certainly have not seen too many bases loaded, no out walk-off scenarios. But for Carly Ford, this is a big one.
A big moment for the freshman. Again, took the job after an injured Maddie Knowles from catcher and has not looked back since. It's improved tremendously during this season as she finds herself in a position that not a lot of people get to be in at the age that she is.
Yeah, that ball just getting away from the Jackrabbits catcher a little bit. Again, that's a very, very difficult position for her to be in, because if that ball gets past her, that could easily be game as well.
That ball is sky high into the area, and that is caught. In come the scoring run, and Iowa State is going to walk it off against South Dakota State. 7-6. Carly Ford getting that sac fly into center field, brings in Ireland Buss, and that is how doubleheader number 2 is going to end here in Ames, Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa State most likely not coming into this game expecting such close games, expecting such competition here from these South Dakota State Jackrabbits, but that is exactly what they saw. They rallied back in both games after being in some tricky situations.